Long ago, in a land called Israel, there lived a couple named Manoah and his wife. They were sad because they couldn't have children. One day an angel appeared to them and said, "Good news. You're going to have a baby boy, but listen carefully, he's going to be special. Don't ever cut his hair and don't let him drink wine or eat certain foods. He'll grow up to be very strong and will start to save Israel from its enemies." When their son was born, they named him Samson. As he grew up, everyone could see that Samson was different. He was stronger than any other boy, and his long hair made him stand out. His parents told him about the angel's visit and explained that he was chosen by God for a special purpose. As Samson became a young man, he started to notice girls. One day he saw a pretty Philistine girl and fell in love. He told his parents, "I want to marry her." His parents weren't happy about this. They said, "Can't you find a nice Israelite girl instead?" But Samson insisted, so they agreed to help arrange the marriage. On the way to meet the girl's family, something amazing happened. A young lion jumped out and attacked Samson. But Samson was so strong that he grabbed the lion and tore it apart with his bare hands, just like it was a little toy. He didn't tell anyone about this, not even his parents. Later, when Samson went back to marry the girl, he passed by the dead lion. He looked inside its body and saw that bees had made a home there. There was honey inside. Samson scooped out some honey and ate it, and he gave some to his parents too. But he didn't tell them where it came from. At his wedding party, Samson decided to tell a riddle to 30 Philistine men. He said, "I'll give you each a new set of clothes if you can solve my riddle. But if you can't solve it, you have to give me 30 sets of clothes." The men agreed, and Samson told them the riddle: out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet. The Philistine men tried and tried, but they couldn't figure out the answer. They got frustrated and went to Samson's new wife. They said, "You better find out the answer from your husband, or we'll burn down your father's house." Samson's wife got scared and begged Samson to tell her the answer. At first he refused, but she cried and pleaded for 7 days until he finally gave in and told her. The Philistine men came to Samson just before the end of the 7 days and said, "What's sweeter than honey? What's stronger than a lion?" Samson knew right away that his wife had told them the answer. He was so angry that he said, "If you hadn't tricked my wife, you wouldn't have solved my riddle." Samson was furious. He went to a nearby town and caught 300 foxes. He tied their tails together in pairs and put a torch between each pair. Then he let the foxes loose in the Philistines' fields, burning all their crops. The Philistines found out it was Samson who did this, so they burned his wife and her father to death. This made Samson even angrier, and he attacked the Philistines, killing many of them. After this big fight, Samson was very thirsty. He called out to God, "You helped me win this great victory. Are you going to let me die of thirst?" Now God made water come out of a rock, and Samson drank and felt better. For 20 years, Samson led the Israelites and protected them from the Philistines. But he still had a weakness for pretty women. One day he fell in love with a woman named Delilah. The Philistine leaders came to her and said, "Find out the secret of Samson's strength. If you do, we'll each give you a lot of silver." So Delilah started asking Samson, "Please tell me, what makes you so strong? How could someone tie you up?" Samson decided to play a trick on her. He said, "If someone ties me up with 7 fresh bowstrings, I'll be as weak as anyone else." Delilah told the Philistines, and they brought her 7 fresh bowstrings. She tied up Samson while he was sleeping, then shouted, "Samson, the Philistines are here." Samson woke up and broke the bowstrings easily. After this, Samson hid in a cave. The Philistines came looking for him, and they told the people of Judah, "Hand over Samson, or we'll hurt you instead." So 3,000 men from Judah went to Samson and said, "We have to tie you up and give you to the Philistines. You've caused us a lot of trouble." Samson agreed to let them tie him up, but he had a plan. When the men of Judah brought Samson to the Philistines, everyone started shouting. Suddenly, Samson felt God's power come over him. He broke the ropes like they were nothing. He looked around and saw a donkey's jawbone on the ground. He picked it up and started swinging. Before long, he had beaten 1,000 Philistines with just that jawbone. Delilah was upset. She said to Samson, "You lied to me. Please tell me how you can really be tied up." Samson told her another lie: "If you tie me with new ropes that have never been used, I'll be weak." So Delilah tried this, but again Samson broke free easily. Delilah kept asking, and Samson kept lying. He told her, "If you weave my hair into your loom, I'll be weak." She tried this too, but Samson just pulled his hair free, taking the loom with it. Finally, Delilah said, "How can you say you love me when you won't tell me your secret? You've made a fool of me 3 times now." She kept nagging him day after day until Samson got so tired of it that he told her the truth. "Look," he said, "I've been special to God since I was born. My hair has never been cut. If it were cut off, I would lose my strength and be like any other man." Delilah realized Samson was telling the truth this time. She sent a message to the Philistine leaders, and they came with the silver they had promised. While Samson was sleeping with his head on Delilah's lap, she called for someone to come and cut off his hair. As his hair was cut, Samson's strength left him. Then Delilah cried out, "Samson!" The Philistines, I hear Samson, woke up thinking he could fight them off like before, but this time he couldn't. The Philistines grabbed him, poked out his eyes, and took him to Gaza. There they put him in prison and made him push a heavy millstone to grind grain. Then Samson prayed to God. He said, "Lord, please remember me. Please give me strength one last time. Let me pay the Philistines back for taking my eyes." Then Samson pushed against the 2 pillars with all his might. He shouted, "Let me die with the Philistines." The temple crashed down, killing Samson and all the people inside. In the end, Samson killed more Philistines when he died than he had during his whole life. His family came and took his body back home. They buried him in his father's tomb. Samson had led Israel for 20 years. The story of Samson teaches us many things. It shows us that God can use anyone for his purposes, even someone who makes mistakes. Samson was very strong, but he also had weaknesses. He often got angry and didn't always make good choices, especially when it came to women. But in the end, he turned back to God and completed the mission he was given.